Hey, Al, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, Count. I'm fine. How are
I'm
you?
doing well. Are you able to hear me okay?
You're hearing some disturbance from my side?
Yeah, I'm hearing
I
a
think,
kind of
okay,
a
I'll shut it down. I think it's a PR cooler. Okay.
noise that was like a air blower or something. Now it's okay.
Mm, yeah,
So great, good to have you back on the show. How was the
yeah,
weekend? No, there was two double headers and the
yeah.
crazy
It,
Rinku Singh innings.
it was better than the last weekend. And last weekend, we had a great run too. So this weekend, we had three clean sweeps, I guess, in the five matches that we had. And one was 1.5x profit, and the other was where we got green swept.
That's brilliant. So let's get started with the show straight away. We have just 30 minutes to go for the toss. Just give me
Hmm.
1 second. Yeah, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I was just quickly wanting to talk about the the way the events came unpacked itself. Mainly, Rashid looks like Mr. Hardik the bowler. If he
Hmm.
had bowled a couple of overs,
Hmm.
probably Yash Dayal may not have bowled the last over because Hardik
Hmm.
himself used Yash Dayal very sparingly in the first couple of
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. We had even discussed this in our chat yesterday, where if they had Hardik, he'd have basically been bouncing out every single opposition batter in that lineup, and the entire lineup struggles against hard lengths and on that ground, which had good bounce, and it could have helped them a lot. And that's what they missed yesterday. Actually, the value of Hardik as the all rounder, and it sort of worked against them.
Yeah, and also surprisingly, they wouldn't want to use Tewatia's leg spin bowling. Is he injured not to bowl this IPL season?
That is something that they have been doing since the last season. They're not using him as an all rounder because he was expensive in the season building up to the one they bought him. So they're basically trying to use him as a batter, maybe to give him the confidence to not let the bowling, the runs that he concedes with his bowling, affect his batting form. And that worked out for them really well last season. I'm not sure how it's going to go in this one though.
Yeah, I think this is what 2020 cricket is for. I think Rashid bowled the 17th or the 18th over, took a
Hmm.
hat trick, and then it was like the last eight balls, Rinku Singh faced. He hit six sixes and one four.
Yeah, for a second in that Rashid over, I thought he would pick up 5 wickets. One reason for that was we had him as captain, which basically pushed us from out of nowhere in contention to the top of the table on a lot of the leagues that we are part of. But also the fact that he'll be bowling to a lot of tailenders after the seventh wicket, and he looked good to get a couple more wickets actually in that over.
It would not have been a bad idea if Rashid had held back himself for one more over and tried to bowl the last over. But when Venkatesh Iyer was kind of going great guns, they had
Mm.
to bring in Alzari Joseph, and Rashid himself had to come in and bowl.
Yeah,
And Venkatesh Iyer's wicket is what itself gave Gujarat the Titans that opening
yeah.
for Rashid to come in to take those three wickets.
Mm. I think if anything, Rashid Khan, I believe, was right in the decision that he made to bring him back to bowl himself and Alzari back to back, because that kind of shut the game down in on most of the 9 out of 10, so perhaps even 10 out of 10 times the game would have been shut down after that kind of spell. But what the mistake that he might have done, what I believe that was he bowled the third over of Yash Dayal too early, and that's something that he could have avoided. Perhaps used little earlier, Josh little earlier, and bowled him out little first, and then bring Yash Dayal at the end. That could have changed things, and perhaps they could have avoided bowling 3 overs of Yash Dayal so soon.
Yeah, so Sunil Narayan very clearly doesn't look, he belongs to the lower middle order. He should be batting up the order again if they want to use him as a batsman at all.
Yeah, it's Sunil Narayan. I think his value lies in the top. Either he has to bat at the as an opener or in the top four at least to take on the spinners. But to send him down at number 8 and number 9, it's not going to work really well for any of the franchises. Some franchises have been a little bit more versatile with him, that they've not just opened. It isn't the fact that he was being found out a lot in the last couple of years, and between 2019 and 20, the teams were finding it easy to bounce him out and to ball him left arm pace, everything. They adapted accepted to bowl to then bat him at number 3 and number 4. That's something that KKR could try as well.
Yeah, moving into today's game, RCP wouldn't want spin given what happened to them in the last game against KKR. And Lucknow, after being beaten by Chennai at Chepak, went back home
Mm.
and basically, strangled the opposition with spin, and then they won that game. So
Yeah.
both teams wanting a completely different, deck today.
Yeah. In fact, we were discussing about how Lucknow should have used Amit Mishra at Chepak. That's what they did at their home venue on a deck that used to be that was a lot like how Chepak used to be in the past. So that's what turned the game for them. But in this game, it's going to be an interesting choice. We do not yet know whether Markwood and Avesh Khan are completely fit, and if they are fit, what would they do with Amit Mishra on a small venue? Even though Chinnaswamy has a history of assisting spinners in the first innings, when the dew comes, it turns into a completely different venue. But in the first innings, they could get actual value out of Amit Mishra.
Yeah, and you have QDK. I don't know what's his status on coming back to play for Lucknow.
It was interesting that Andy Fer basically confirmed that QDK was dropped in the last game, that he was available for selection and still wasn't picked because of how good Mayers has been so far. So he basically said that they'll be going to Chinnaswamy and decide based on the deck there whether QDK fits into their best 11 or not. So I think a lot depends on what kind of deck they see today.
Yeah, I mean, the deck is going to be a very interesting one, and you had made a observation that given Chinnaswamy has got a different have got upgraded their
Hmm.
irrigation system, which dries the outfield faster,
Hmm.
has had a an impact on on the pitches as well, making the pitch drier.
Yeah, it has. That's something that we have observed over the last 3 to 4 years, where matches here, spinners have come in to play a lot more, and even in general, bowlers have come into play a lot more. The one thing that changes that, however, and shows us the shades of Chinnaswamy, the old Chinnaswamy, is the dew coming in, which basically happens in the second innings. So in the second innings, with the dew settling in, it's going to be a batting heaven. But in the first innings, do not underestimate the bowlers.
Yeah. And if Vanindu Asaranga is still not going to be in the playing 11, RCB would not want a turning track.
Yeah, yeah, as well as Karan Sharma has bowled, it's not going to be easy for them against a batting unit that has Nicholas Puran, that has Deepak Koda, that has KL Rahul. They're all exceptional players of spin, so you do not want that. They'll want something a bit more different.
Yeah, and playing against spin is something QDK does well. Maybe Kyle Myers, if you have somebody like Maxwell, like you mentioned in the note,
Hmm.
if they were to have Maxwell open against him, you got a chance that Myers would struggle against off spin.
Yeah, that's something that I'd say both QDK and Mays have in common. They both can struggle against off spin, but I think Quinton de Kock is a better player of leg spin than Kyle Mayers is.
Yeah, so if Anindu Asaranga is playing, you definitely would want QDK instead of Myers. But given the form that Myers been in,
Mm.
it only is natural on Lucknow side to kind of wanting to give him a longer run, given
Yeah.
that their top order has not been performing at all except for Myers Knox.
Yeah, I think the teams have been really aggressive this season. Like Kagiso Rabada is being benched at PBKS for Nathan Ellis, so they're going a lot by the recent form and what the replacement players have done in the first couple of games and the overall image of the player.
So even though there is a 50-50 win percentage, team batting first and second, but given the due
Mm.
factor, so win the
Mm.
toss, definitely the team would want to bat first, means
Yeah,
bowl
it's an
first.
yeah, absolutely no brainer. You win the toss, you ball first at this venue
Yeah.
in night games.
Yeah, and also one of the comment in your match report says that it really assists the spinners and the death bowlers in the first innings compared to the
It
second
does.
innings,
It does, yeah.
and
It's a little bit drier, so it brings bowlers like Harshal Patel into play a lot more than it would in the second innings.
and that's what your data breakup also shows, right? Look at the wickets column, 2.64 for the first
Hmm.
innings in the middle overs, and then
Hmm.
2.5 during the
Exactly.
death.
Exactly, and look, and as the numbers show, it comes down really badly in the second innings where bowlers really struggle to get any wickets at all.
Yeah. And if the ball does come onto the bat, and if there is a dew factor, you could expect a lot of sixes given how small the stadium is.
Absolutely, the boundary dimensions are some of them are a joke. 56 and 51 for men's cricket. You're not doing anything as a bowler. It'd be really difficult.
Could be the kind of a ground where Maxwell's 360 shots could come into play.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he backs himself to a good one. He's not had a good start to the IPL so far.
Yeah, actually, this is one of the things that a lot of us were looking forward to when RCB picked him, because Maxwell could be an exceptionally dangerous player at this venue because of the short boundaries and the fact that even the one thing that you could always trouble Maxwell is with hard length and pace, raw pace. But on this deck, if he gets a top edge, it's going to on this venue. If he gets a top edge, it's going to fly for six. So that's where he comes into play. He's a much bigger threat at Chinnaswamy than in some of the other venues in the IPL and in India at the moment.
Given how smallish the boundaries are, and Mark Wood has to be right on the money. If he has any exhaustion from his flu,
Hmm.
it's better to rest him, because it just takes that small percentage of error, to bowl at that pace on the wicket or slightly
Hmm.
outside the off stump. And like how
Hmm.
Dhoni showed that, it just needs quick wrist work to connect the
Hmm.
ball, and then
Hmm.
it can fly over those short boundaries.
Yeah, and there's an interesting matchup, and the matchup that's likely going to decide today's game. If Mark would plays, Mark would versus Kohli and Faf. Kohli and Faf can take down Mark Wood, but if they do not, or if they are dismissed earlier, and then Mark Wood comes into the attack and bowls four overs at the likes of Glenn Maxwell, Lomro, and Bracewell, and even Shabazz Ahmed, it's going to be game over for RCB too soon. So it's the best chance for RCB today lies in Virat Kohli and Faf du Plessis, each batting at least 35 to 40 balls.
Yeah, that's a very good point that you make. You could just give that purple cap to Markwood straight away if Kohli and Faf were to get dismissed cheaply today. And who could do that in their position? If Markwood doesn't open the bowling,
Hmm.
Jaydev Unadkar, or Yash Thakur. Do you think they
Hmm.
have the kind of skill, or Kohli or Faf du Plessis, do they have any weakness against left arm pace bowling for them to get out cheaply today?
They do, but on the other hand, Unadkat has been really poor in this IPL as well. He's basically conceding at 10 runs per over. So it's not going to be easy for them, for Lucknow, to exploit that weakness of RCB openers. I think their best choice lies in opening with Avesh Khan if he's fit, and Kunal Pandya from the other end. Maybe an over of Unadkat at best, because it does this when you does support new ball bowling, but introduce Kunal Pandya into the attack early, bowl at least a couple of overs of him in the power play, and have Aves supporting him.
Yeah, so I think even though we see a lot of teams operating with two left-hand pace bowlers like Sam Curran and Ashdeep as an example,
Mm, mm.
uh, but given that Express Quick, right? If your Express Quick gets injured, you don't have a backup. You still don't have that talent pool available.
Yeah, it's something really difficult, and it's also a tricky thing to go ahead and buy a couple of express quicks in your squad, especially if they're overseas, because they not only lock the spot, they're also injury prone. So it's like you're having a two highly risky player types locking couple of spots. So that's not advisable.
I mean, on paper, at least that's what Mumbai Indians have, right? With the Bumrah and
Yeah,
Jafra Archer.
exactly, which is why they are struggling. It wasn't advisable to go in all in on a couple of rock picks, couple of all format rock picks. This is something I had predicted even when they bought him, that it's highly likely they are going to be unavailable to play together for at least a couple of years, and that's what is happening.
I mean, this is where the impact sub thinking also have to come in, because these raw quicks, and they were to
Mm,
field in deep square leg or mid wicket, where they're
mm,
chasing the ball and sliding to stop. He also, we saw. I mean, he's not a quick that
mm,
the Australia, I mean, the New Zealand captain Kane Williamson.
mm,
What happened to
mm,
him?
mm,
But those kind of injuries, freak injuries, could be very common with dew, and a lot of
mm.
slip and tumble falls can happen.
Yeah. I think when a player is too important for you, I think the think tanks should make it a point to tell them that they're not supposed to do all of those acrobatics on the field. This is something that happened with Chris Lynn as well when he became an extremely injury prone player, and he was really good. He was one of the hottest properties in the T20 circuit. All he will go is go behind the keeper and stand at a spot. He wouldn't run, he wouldn't move to left, he wouldn't move to right. He'll just collect the ball that comes straight to him and throw it back. And even if the ball goes behind him, there will be another player who is running along with him and who will go do the throwing and stuff. That's the kind of treatment that players like the injury prone players and but those players that are too important to the team should be given. They should not be asked to do all the sort of stuff they are doing on the field.
And also, if you look at some of the deep boundary catchers like a Joss Butler, they're pretty good at these foreign players are, and then again that increases their chances of injury. Like how
Mm.
Butler took those two brilliant catches, but we had
Mm-hmm.
no clue that one of it actually hurt him, that he needed stitches.
Yeah.
Again, this is where franchise owners have to be cognizant of where do they want to field their key players.
It is, yeah, it is true. It also says a lot about how fit you need to be in modern cricket to be able to field so well.
Yeah. So just going back to the match sheet again. So Glenn Maxwell, has a high strike rate, but he has a very low average against Kunal Pandya and Amit Mishra.
Yeah, it is. It's something that's typical of Glenn Maxwell. Even in matchups that he has struggled against, he'll have an exceptionally good strike rate. But that's about he could get a couple of sixes. But against bowler types, that's something that I've observed throughout his career. He struggles a lot more against classical leg spin than against quick leg spin. He has a decent record against Rashid Khan as well. But when you beat him in the air and beat him and throw him wide of the stumps, that's when he really struggles. Which is why his record is worse against Amit Mishra than against Ravi Bishnoi, who's more of a modern day leg spinner.
Yeah, and in today's game with the short boundaries, if Ravi Bishnoi were to bowl to Glenn Maxwell in the second innings,
Hmm.
you could see, I guess, Glenn Maxwell keeping his record of high strike rate against Ravi Bishnoi. So a
Yeah,
lot of sorry.
Even Faf du Plessis has an exceptional record against Bishnoi in T20s, so it's not going to be easy for the young leg spinner today.
Yeah. All right. So with that, let's look at the Fanex recommendations for the day. So if Mark Wood is playing for the reason you just gave now, you could really split open that middle order. So the leading
Hmm.
wicket taker pick is Mark Wood, huh?
Yeah, if Lucknow bowls first, this combination of KL Rahul and Markwood could work wonders.
Yeah. So KL Rahul, he played, chasing a low score, played himself to a kind of 34, 35 run knock. Hopefully
He's
that has
starting to look good in that game. Yeah.
yeah, hopefully spending that time in the middle, and he's playing at his home ground, like how Ajinkya Rahane played at Wankhede, and he looked so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that took the Twitter by storm on that day. I mean, it says a couple of things. It shows how bad the Mumbai squad is, and how bad a work they did in the auction to have a bowling unit like that. The high profile tournament in like the IPL is atrocious, and also how what Ajinkya Rahane could have potentially done in the T20 circuit had he been a little bit more proactive with his batting approach.
Yeah, and suddenly is a contender. I mean, it was a very good innings. I mean, stroke play to watch, to be
It
so
was.
expressive, and being from Chennai, I could see a chica in Rahane that day. Just going and smashing the bowlers all over the park.
Yeah, this was the Rahane that burst into the scene, the one that hit six fours in an over. The record I think he still currently holds, and no one has been anywhere close to it. So that's how good he was. But the progress hasn't been there, as well as some of the other players with the same potential at the time have progressed.
And also, the other angle I want to talk about is that, being under a captain who tells you go and express yourself, I got your back. How Dhoni is that, to be that captain for something like this to happen, I guess it goes to show a lot about CSK's leadership as well.
Yeah, but this is something that we have observed over the years as well, and I think that is something that will also be in common with the Gujarat Titans going ahead. There has a similar approach where players feel a lot more comfortable playing under these stars like Ashish Nehra and Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
And Hardik Pandya is also, looks like he very clearly comes from that school of thought of
Yeah,
MS and Ashish Nehra. So it's good for
yeah,
him to have spent time under MS in the national team and now under Ashish Nehra. So I'm sure he's definitely a brilliant captain in the making.
yeah. There's a lot of promise both with Sanju Samson and Hardik Pandya. So I think going ahead, Indian team could be in safe hands.
So we are almost on the 20-minute mark. I promise to let you go at the 25-minute mark so that you still have time pre-toss, and then
Yeah,
post-toss again. Your life is crazy, especially in today's game. It depends on who plays on the 11, who bats first. So much needs to go into consideration for you to recommend the playing 11 for Dream 11 kind of platforms.
exactly.
Yeah, so let's quickly take a look at FanX. FanX has a super contest where they fund each contest with 10,000 rupees, and for you to join a contest, for join that super contest, you put in 100 rupees. Out of that 190 rupees will be added to the prize pool. Today's prize pool is it's already at about 12,520, which means about 30 odd people have joined in. So to download the app, you just go to Fanex, FANEX.in, and download the app, and then you get 500 free coins, and
Mm,
using which you can play their games where you don't need the money. You just use the coins to play these games, uh,
yeah,
play those contests, and then you can win money from those contests, which you can then use to play on the super contest. You can also
yeah,
load cash to join the super contest. So if 100 more people join, the prize pool would be 19,000 rupees. So that's the exciting part. So let's take
yeah,
a look at the app. So
yeah,
we have already joined the contest. So
yeah.
I will just go to show the picks that have been made. So for 4 runs, no, there basically you make only 3 picks. So pick for the batsman who will score the maximum number of fours. So covers off and section. So that's it. So it's as easy as that. So you will find the super contest on the lobby, and then you click on join with 100 rupees, and then you make these 3 picks. So covers of recommendations are KL Rahul for fours and six, and Mark
Yeah.
Wood for wickets. But what users have been doing is that they've been taking our picks, and then
Mm.
they are making their own combinations. For example, if you look at the winners yesterday, Prem, uh, Danger Up, Winvest, Triple C, Double Two, and Buy, they each won 2,233 rupees. And for the Punjab versus they made Shekhar Dhawan, which is a good pick. He ended up scoring 99 runs. So that's how it works. It's a very simple contest. Go to fanex.in, download the app, and then you can win real money every day. So that's it, Al. It's exactly 6:55 p.m. for you. Uh,
Yeah.
Good luck for the game. Hopefully, we will be able to continue the show throughout this week before
Yeah.
you are headed into another double header for the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. All right. You have a good one. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.